never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound. 'Cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground.
Today, over 1 billion children in the world live in poverty. At Help Heal Humanity, our goal is to connect children in need with people like you who want to make a difference. Our student sponsorship program helps provide children with the necessities for a healthy and successful start to life. When you sponsor a student, you're not only giving them the gift of education, you're giving them the best chance for a brighter future. 100% of your donation supports the tuition fees, uniforms, textbook, and school supplies needed to thrive in a safe and healthy learning environment. Sponsor a student now and be the catalyst for their brighter future.
To the Coaches Lounge right now, because we're going to bring this king on. And as I always say, I have to bring on these wonderful, wonderful coaches the right way. So here we go.
my God, Barbara, that was beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are an angel.
David, I don't know. I mean, you're being really nice right now, but I was like, I said, I couldn't believe I have this celebrity on my show. Thank you so much. I mean, this is an honor.
Well, I'll tell you, you mentioned something earlier. When you are in alignment with people like Jenny McCarthy and Oprah, as you mentioned, Barbara, you're probably further ahead than you could ever imagine. Those statements that, I'm reaching, I'm going, I'm there, type of a thing is absolutely what we all need to be doing as we do the work to get there. But I just love the way you reflected upon yourself saying, I'm not Oprah yet, but I'm going there. Jenny McCarthy is probably one of the most incredible individuals I've ever met in my life, Barbara. And, people think of her as a Playboy, a model, and they think of her as, the host of The Masked Singer now, which she's gained huge acclaim for. But what they don't understand is, and I've been in this business for 43 years as a counselor, master life coach, radio host, TV host, all that kind of stuff, right? Jenny McCarthy, by far, is one of the top 2 individuals I've ever been interviewed by. She is a pro. She's an amazing businesswoman. She's funnier than heck. She's absolutely gorgeous, but her gorgeousness does not even touch her heart, soul, passion to help people. And I will give Jenny all the credit in the world. Our first #1 best-selling book, ironically enough, called Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but this book will. She actually was on the radio with me. I was on her show as a guest, and she said, David, I've always been a huge fan of The Secret and the Law of Attraction. And in your book, you're saying that it takes a heck of a lot more than those 2 things. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to sell me. And at the end of 3 minutes, if you sell me, I will tell my 3 million people listening that you are the rock star of positive thinking. And at the end of 3 minutes, if I still am going to hold on to my affirmations are going to bring me everything I want in the world and all that kind of stuff, then I will tell you, thanks for coming on, but I'm going to stay with my own stuff. After 3 minutes, you can imagine what happened. She stopped the race. She goes, okay, enough. And she turned to the mic, Barbara, and she said, ladies and gentlemen, I have been totally wrong.
Wow.
In everything I've been telling you about how to create success. David Essel, by far, is the new leader of the positive thinking movement. And Barbara, it was so profound because of her position in society, right? To be so humble and so vulnerable and to raise her hand and say, guys, I've been teaching you the wrong stuff. And, I had to do that in 1996, Barbara. I had for 18 years, I had taught the law of attraction. And this is before The Secret came out. The law of attraction has been out since about the 1600s, by the way. And there's part of the law of attraction that's true. But the way we teach it in our country, it's a bunch of crap. Whatever you put out into the universe must return in kind, right? So you say I'm a millionaire, you become one. Come on now. Barbara, you would not have a position in this world. I would not have a position in this world if that worked. People wouldn't need inspiration, motivation. They wouldn't need experts and teachers and leaders and healers because all they'd have to do is throw this out to this so-called universe and they'd be healed, or they'd have 6 houses in Tahiti or whatever the heck these people tell you can get, right? So, Jenny got real. She got down. She stripped her small ego. She said, I was wrong. Are you kidding me? A celebrity and 3 million listeners saying I'm wrong. How many people do that, Barbara, right?
Wow. That is, That's amazing. That's amazing, David. And just because she's like, oh boy, okay, here we go. I got to admit this.
Exactly.
And you know what? I was just going to say, David, before you move on with your story, I'm glad that she did, because everybody's going down this, like you said, this wrong road. And you just was like, no, this needs to get fixed. And I'm going to sell her in the 3 minutes because this needs to get put out there to all the people that she know, all the millions of people. Yeah. So for all that, just, like you said, that was like the turning point for everybody that you came on, you sold her on that. You told this is how it's supposed to be. She's like, oh my God, I'm wrong. Let's just get this out here. So yes, it all came came to fruition. So that's wonderful.
And Barbara, in my experience for those 18 years, I woke up every day saying I'm a millionaire. I had signs all over my house, that I own homes in Tahiti and Bali and blah, blah, blah. And in 18 years, it never came true. Not one of those things came true by putting these posters on the wall, by spending all this time writing affirmations and speaking affirmation. Now, I will say this, 20% of our massive success in life will come from having a powerful, optimistic attitude. Absolutely. But listen to the percentage, 20%. 80% will come from you doing the work you'd rather not do today. Let me slow that down. 20% of your success, big success. I'm not talking about waking up in the morning. I'm talking about actually doing something big, right? 20% will come from your attitude, your belief in yourself, your determination, your perseverance against all odds, knocking down mountains that we all have to face. 20% of your success will come from your thought process. And what we ask people to do in all of our counseling and coaching programs is to spend the first hour of every day electronic free. The first hour of every day, no news, no social media, no texting, no email, no nothing. The first hour, actually, I believe in holding freaking books, real paper. I believe in getting up in the morning and journaling. I believe in getting up and meditating, praying, or whatever's in your wheelbox, right? Like I really believe that first hour, electronic free, sets the tone for the day. And if you do it correctly, you don't have to worry about saying affirmations throughout the day. You don't have to worry about, hoping that something's going to come through. You've already done the work in your mind and with the spiritual sense. Now, the next 80%, if you do what you'd rather not do, that's what the superstars, that's how they get successful. If you do what you'd rather not do. And let me go back to Jenny McCarthy. I was on her show like 5 times after that first one. And we got to talking about success and mindset and all this stuff. And I said to her, after your modeling days, what was your business like? How did you do? And she said, David, I'm going to be honest with you. I got lazy. I was getting all of this stuff thrown to me, and I'm, being very successful. And then I'm moving into comedy and I'm doing different things. But then I just sort of took my foot off the gas, and people would call me, and she was in Chicago at the time living. And she said, people would call me from LA and say, hey, we want you a part of a project. And I go, I don't feel like traveling this week. And then a couple weeks later, someone would call from Miami and say, hey, Jenny, we want you to come down here and do Miami. And she go, that's just a pain traveling. And as she stopped doing the work, her career started to dip. And then I asked her, what recreated Jenny McCarthy? Like, what did you do? And she said, I started doing everything I didn't want to do. I realized that I needed to say yes, even if it was uncomfortable. And David, that shattered everything. And then all of a sudden I went from this Playboy model to where's Jenny McCarthy to where's Jenny McCarthy not? It was from doing the work that she didn't want to do, Barbara. And it's a great lesson for all of us.
Yeah, definitely, David. Now, I want to just, because I know you've been doing this for a long time. I mean, you're just the expert of experts here. But I always know that there's a story. There's always a story. That I was saying with Ann and Malone, and when I was, talking to them. So your story, because I know you just didn't wake up saying, okay, I'm this positive and I'm going to, show the world and all that. So where did it start from? Where did you just say, I need to do this? This was a must for you.
Well, it started really young. We are all given gifts, and a lot of us are embarrassed to say what our gifts are. And other people don't even know what the heck their gifts are. But, as a little kid, I was always a leader. This was my role in life. In sports, I played basketball Division I at Syracuse University for 2 years, and I was a leader on the court. I ran the team in high school, ran the team in elementary school, ran the team. So, it was a natural sort of lead in for me to become either a teacher, which I thought I was going to go to college for being a teacher. But after spending an internship with junior high kids, I ran. I ran out of that profession. I go, oh, no. I'll be in jail. I will not put up with this crap, So, and
so glad you ran, David. So glad you ran.
I am too, Barbara. It was the best move I made, But being that leader, I've always wanted to be ahead, and I've always wanted to tell people, hey, listen, you can do this, because when I played basketball at Syracuse, I was a walk-on. I did not get a scholarship. The odds of making a Division I school as a walk-on are infinitesimally small. Even 43 years ago when I played basketball there, it's very hard without a scholarship to get a position on a major basketball team. And yet, I use that, my determination, my willingness to do whatever it took. And the coaches came up to me, after the tryouts and said, against all odds, Essel, against all odds, you're on this team. And it was true. I was probably one of the shortest guys at 5'11" on the team. But, I didn't let any of that disturb me, Barbara. I had a goal. I had a dream. I accomplished it now. After 2 years, I just simply wasn't good enough. I just couldn't keep up with the talent underneath me. So my junior year, the coach came to me. His name was Roy Danforth. The current coach, Jim Boeheim, who's been there for 42 years, was an assistant. But Roy Danforth came to me and said, Essel, we've got a position for you on, for the next 2 years. You can play as a junior, you can play as a senior. And I was ecstatic, Barbara. And then he really put the nail down. He said, but the odds of you getting in a game are extremely rare. I need you in practice to push the stars, but you're probably not going to play. I'm giving you 24 hours to make a decision. If you want to have that, you've got it. And I went and talked to my roommate, Jake. I'll never forget it, even though it was a long time ago. We spent all night long talking. And I went in the next day and said, Coach, I can't do it. And the reason why, Barbara, was because, in any level of basketball, but Division I, you are devoting your life to the court, to the sport. And then you've got school on top of that. And, you're practicing 7 days a week during the season and off season. I mean, it's just 365 days. And I made a decision that I couldn't put that much effort into this sport anymore if I wasn't going to even be able to get on the court. Now, some people may say that I backed away from an opportunity, and they would be correct in some ways, right? But I followed my heart. The leadership part of me never left. So I got a master's degree in sports psychology and worked with athletes and health and fitness people from 1979 to 1989. And then in 1990, I blew it out in many different ways. Probably the most challenging thing I faced in 1990 was a failed suicide attempt. I had planned on taking my life. I had reached some very deep lows. I had undiagnosed generalized anxiety disorder, undiagnosed clinical depression, undiagnosed ADD, undiagnosed ADHD. I was a mess. Now, I had covered it up for many years with alcohol and workaholism. And when you use substances to cover up your fears, angers, insecurities, or whatever, you can do it for a while, but then you're going to snap. I used workaholism. I was putting in 70, 80, 90 hours a week easy in the first 11 years of my career. And then, but here's the blessing. The failed suicide attempt made me face me, made me look in the mirror, that I am not invincible, that I needed help. And I reached out and I got amazing help. And 12 months later, I was back on my feet. Now, it was not easy at all, but that then pushed me into the world of general counseling. And since then, I have been a massive mental health advocate. I mean, off the charts mental health advocate. And in our work, we have a brand new certification, the mental health and master life coach certification, because we want to create, Barbara, a small army of certified mental health coaches. We've been certifying coaches since 1996, all over the world. Thousands upon thousands of people have gone through our certification. But we created the mental health and master life coach certification for the times we're in right now. And if I can share some statistics to tell you how important this is for coaches, I don't care if you've been certified by other people. If you really want to make a difference, get with our mental health certification for this reason. The American Psychological Association came out about 4 months ago with these statistics, which are absolutely mind-blowing. 79% of Americans reported they have no idea on how to deal with the stress, the addiction, the frustration, the financial challenges, the job loss, the home loss. They have 79% of Americans have no emotional coping skills for the pandemic. loss of loved ones, grief. You know, I lost my mom and dad in the last 12 months, the most difficult several years of my life. They were in hospice for a number of years, and then they both finally passed away a year apart from each other in the last year.
Wow.
And you know, and one of the things that I went to, you know, and of course I've been sober for a very long time. No challenge there whatsoever. But what I had to do was rework my grief program and use it on myself. And that's what we teach in this new certification. You know, people, Barbara, are grieving over the loss of jobs, pets, relationships, homes. You know, I mean, so we created this certification because we really know that the mental health arena is so underserved. You know, I've been on television constantly for the massacre in Texas, at the elementary school, Robb Elementary, for the massacre at Top Supermarket, the racial massacre in Buffalo, New York. You know, and I am screaming for sensible gun laws. I've joined NBA coach Steve Kerr. We were on a television show, separate places, but we were together on the same TV show, screaming for sensible gun control and screaming for more mental health help, which again, is one of the reasons we created the certification. We're even keeping the certification at half off right now because I know a lot of people want to do this, but the money isn't there. So we're going to help people in every way we can, Barbara, just like I have my whole life. But, you know, again, this is going back to something that God gave me. You know, God gave me the leadership abilities. You know, of course, when you're given that gift, you can always improve upon them, which I have. But that's something that was just a gift. You know, I write this is just so crazy to tell you the connection here. But, you know, my last 5 books I've written in 48 hours.
Wow. That is amazing. But David, I got to put a pin for that because I need to go back to what you said, how important it is. I keep telling people mental illness is real. It is real. And a lot of times people, well, I've been noticing, I don't know where they're not thinking, that they think they're not taking it serious like they really should. That's why I'm so glad and proud that you are putting that certification out there to people we need more people like that to get that certification so we can get people help. But you were talking about losses, like job losses, people losses. Well, in the pandemic, first of all, sorry for your mom and dad, you know, for that. But I know last year I lost 13 family members in 3 months. In 3 months' time, David, I lost 13 family members. Some people are still looking at me saying, how are you still doing what you do? Right. And, you know, and then I thought about what you said about the workaholism, where that's been my take. Yeah. I've used that a lot. And I had to stop myself. I just told myself, wait a minute, Barbara, you're working all this hours, you're doing all this for everybody else, you're doing on these shows and everything else. You need to slow it down, else something's going to happen to you. And that's why I'm just feeling what you're saying. You are so true and right about that. It is like we just got to scream it out loud about the mental wellness. Yeah.
And you know, through the workaholism that you've fallen prey to and the workaholism I've fallen prey to, even if we're doing work to help the world, we still are lacking self-care if we're workaholics. You know, we really are. Going back to the American Psychological Association study, I mentioned 79% of Americans have no clue how to handle the stress going on, which we cover in the certification. 40%. Now, I think this is way underreported. In our private practice, it's 70 to 75%. But according to their survey, 40% are struggling with anxiety and or depression at very deep levels right now. Barbara, we see that as huge. We see it more like 70%. And we can prove it with the number of people that are coming in with food addiction, sex addiction, alcohol addiction, pot addiction, prescription drug addiction. Over the last couple of years, we've seen, and I work in the world of addiction recovery, we've seen a massive increase in all these areas of addiction. And then the last thing that they said, I'm only going to mention 3 of the bullet points, but the third bullet point was, and this is again mind-blowing, 80% of couples in the United States of America said their relationship has never been worse than it is right now. And again, in the course, we do relationship work, you know, the certification. So we really have, again, and I'm not bragging, and please, no one take this as a brag, But as a leader, we have to be looking at not just the present, but we have to be looking at the present and saying, how can I alter the future with what I know right now about the present? And that's when we created the certification. The other thing we created, speaking about the pandemic, and this is absolutely free, is a program called Helping Americans Heal and the World. Now, it's a free program. They can go to talkdavid.com and sign up. Instantly, they're going to get our #1 best-selling book on positive thinking, the one that changed Jenny McCarthy's mind. And then every week, Barbara, they're going to get an email. And in the email will be interviews like this one. This one's going to be part of Helping Americans Heal when we get it from you. There'll be interviews. There'll be articles. There's a video on sleep. There's a video on financial freedom. There's a video on meditation. There's a free subscription to an addiction recovery online magazine that is the best in the world. So Helping Americans Heal, something else that we created for absolutely free. We're investing millions of dollars into these programs, Barbara, because we know that the government cannot do this. The government is not equipped in the world of mental health, and they have admitted they're not equipped. And so we believe that it's everyday citizens like myself that need to be thinking of programs, some free, like Helping Americans Heal. So there's no objection. You can't say, well, I can't afford this or I don't have time for it. Yes, you can afford it because it's free. And yes, you have time because you get one email a week chock full of information to help us go to that next level. And then, of course, the mental health and master life coach certification. But this is just what we do. And if you're a leader right now, which I know you are, if you're watching Barbara's show, what I want you to do is look at your present moment. Look around at your clients. Look for patterns. We found the pattern of mental health just like that 3 years ago. And so, look, you may find a pattern that goes into your wheelhouse with weight loss, or you may find a pattern that goes into your coaching program with financial advice during the pandemic. Whatever your expertise is, be a leader. Come out with a program that's fresh. Don't keep reusing old crap. Too much has changed in this world for you to be using a program you created pre-pandemic. We've got to be creating programs right now to prepare ourselves for the post-pandemic, if it ever leaves. And if it doesn't leave, you need to be teaching your clients how to deal at the highest level with the pandemic. Don't shy away from mental health. Don't shy away from using the term pandemic health or pandemic finances or pandemic relationships. Get fresh. Take a weekend. Jot your notes down. Come up with a new program. Come on, we've got to do this as a country. Coaches, counselors, therapists have to all be working together, Barbara.
Yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving it, David. The soapbox, I can hear it. It's like your passion. I'm loving it. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. That's why I love this show so much that I created, to bring on people like you to wake up. Basically, wake up. I didn't want to curse, but wake up. But David, I want to, because I know with time, but I want to give you 30 seconds. I want you to leave whatever you want to leave, and then I'll bring back up so they basically know where to contact you, get the certification, whatever that, that they need from you. So I'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm so glad that you're taking the time for your self-care, for you to listen to Barbara and all of her wonderful guests, and to take notes. One of the things I always tell clients is that take notes when you're watching a Zoom or you're watching an interview like this. Join me. Be one of the leaders. Become certified with our mental health and master life coach certification. As I mentioned, I've been certifying coaches since 1996. Now we've leveled up. We recreated this entire mental health and master life coach certification for these times. You will walk away so prepared. You will walk away so ready. And as most of you know, coaches are earning right now between $50 and $250 per hour. And that's going to go up because the need for certified coaches is off the charts. Then also our free program, Helping Americans Heal. Join it, share it. We're giving away 500,000 memberships to this online program, and you can be right there. Get the information, make the life changes, share it with your clients, your family, whatever you need to do, but act. All you have to do is go to talkdavid.com. Everything you need is there.
Thank you so much, David. Get into the positive thinking movement. Mental health, yes.
Yes.
I had to put that out there.
I love it.
I love talking to you. I love that you've been on the show, and I love having a celebrity in the house. I'm just going to be frank.
Oh, thank you, Barbara.
So thank you so much. And, I welcome you anytime if you want to shout to the rooftops, whatever else you're going to be doing moving forward, because I know that you just like that locomotive.
Yes.
Please, reach out to me. I'll reach out to you, and then we'll make it happen. Because like I said, I like to help give the people visibility so they know what needs to be done. And you are that particular person.
And Barbara, as soon as this is ready, we'll send it out to our complete email list so they get a chance to see you and I working together and how we are both in soul alignment on these topics. So listen, you keep going forward, baby. You're rocking this world, and I want to see you again as well.
Yes. Thank you, Debbie.
Although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and, being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today.
My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
Everybody, how are we doing today? I am so ecstatic and I'm so happy because I have another woman that is rocking the world and creating impact to everyone out there, especially when it comes to athletes and getting to the next level. Now, I'm about to talk about, Monique's about to talk to us, but I just want to say thank you, Queen. And I call Lady Queens, as everybody knows on this show, because you are rocking your empire. And we're going to talk about a little bit more on what you're doing, especially in this area. And I love what you're doing. So let me just first say Monique A.J. Smith is a wonderful, wonderful entrepreneur. And she's helping in the leadership world strategically with athletic development. And she's going to get a little bit more into that. The name of her company is Seeds. I love this name. Seeds of Empowerment. Just saying it that slow just was like, yes, you just feel that. And she's a power pack woman. So she is rocking it. And we're going to get to know her a little bit more. And I welcome you, Monique, to the Coaching Lounge show today. How you doing, lady?
Thank you so much. I have been waiting for this, and I'm so glad to be here with you.
Oh, well, I've been waiting for it too. Because one thing about it, when I hear about empowerment, influencer, mentor, and Monique, it all comes together.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we need more people. I always say we need to multiply people like you. We do.
Well, and I would say that has been my goal as well.
Okay.
Planting seeds. My slogan is planting seeds of empowerment to lead others to greatness. And so
it all sinks in. It all sinks in.
Mm-hmm.
So Ms. Monique, I know we met through another acquaintance of ours, both of our coaches in a sense. And I love the networking because when you meet people, especially like-minded people like ourselves, you get to grow and you get to come into each other's world. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I love to do is I like to give visibility, especially to the queens, to the women. And when you were talking about what you do, especially for leadership with the athletics and developing them, I was like, ooh, that's different. And when I hear something different, it really piques my ear. And I know that people need to hear about it. So how long have you been doing what you do with the leadership? And then, about working with each other. Just tell us how you started out in that area.
Well, I just want to clarify. I work with leaders in athletic departments in sport organizations. I don't work directly with the athletes. And so my specialty is Black women in athletic administration. And the reason being, I'm 54 and I've been in the business since I was in college. I was an intern, but since the age of 22. And so there were very few women in athletic administration back in the early 90s. And so fast forward 20 years, I became associate commissioner for the CIAA. And again, one of the first in a specific role that put me in the limelight of being a senior women's administrator, which is like the number 2 person, with a number 1 woman, but the number 2 or number 3 inside the organization. And the power, let me use the word influence that you have sometimes becomes pressure that you put on yourself because, which we're dealing with this with the football, you become a minority and everybody's excited about it. But then if you leave, they don't replace you with somebody who looks like you. So, you cannot, it's not just for you and your time. It's about the legacy behind you. And so I spent 30 years in athletic administration. My first job was sports information director at St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia. Then at 28, I was named athletic director by default because I went through 5 different athletic directors. And yeah, it was interesting. Wow. And I got the call doing, I was working the Olympics in Atlanta. And the president tracked me down and said, I would like for you to serve as athletic director. And an interim basis, let's be clear, is to protect you. And I was like, okay, let me think about it. He was like, well, just hold on, let me think about it. And the bomb went off that night. And I said, life is short. I better go ahead and take this and learn on a job like a man would. So that's what I did. And I remained in that position for 2 years. I went to Division I. I became the compliance director of Division I institution. So I gave up the role as athletic director. And that was a twist in itself. But the Lord had a different plan. I became associate commissioner for the CIAA, like I mentioned. And I remained there for 13 years. I came there as PR director, was promoted several times while I was there, from director of championships, director of governance, and eventually like chief of staff. But the one thing about my job I enjoyed the most was professional development. And one of the things that I'm just real transparent about it, I wrote a chapter right before the pandemic in a book called Public Figure Mask. And mine was dealing with being a public figure and taking the mask off and kind of sharing the stress of being a female leader in a male-dominated field and the pressures that you go through. And a high achiever depression looks different. It looks like you just stay so busy that you just don't want to feel. It's like you don't even want to go home because your house is a mess, because you don't do that very well, but you do really well by planning events and running meetings and championships. But if something should happen there, you're off balance because you don't have the other balance. And so me knowing that and experiencing that, I can see it with other women, which is what I do in my executive coaching. I do a lot of head work first and then skill work.
Yes.
And I mean, in helping them be better leaders and how to communicate. And that's what I do by doing the staff retreats. So I go to the athletic departments and whatever their need is. Like right now, the need is talking about our playing field is expanding. And there's no more than just coaching anymore, just for X's and O's and W's and L's. You know, you got the COVID. You know, how many kids have experienced loss, whether it's people, seasons, abilities, all of that.
Yes.
Then we have name, image, and likeness. Kids now can get money before they become professional. Okay. And then we got social justice, you know, and so you thinking you just want to come and coach and you know, these are distractions. No, these aren't distractions. These are things that you must be aware of. So I'm teaching that, which is all about leadership. So I hit a wall, literally and figuratively, like in 2002, and I went to counseling, and the counselor said you need to be around other women like you, and I was like, there aren't. You know, I mean, there are women there, but they're looking up to me.
Yeah.
And so I began to have retreats. And I would bring a facilitator in to deal with issues that I would hear over the years. And, you know, they're having which I still hear today, they're having issues saying they don't want to be dealing with politics. And they don't understand politics is nothing but a game. And if we're in athletics and we're in sports, you deal with games all the time. Why can't you understand this? So
that's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, you know, and winning, I say it's like spades. So, you know, you can win a hand even if you don't have spades in your hand. If you know how to play your cards, if you know how to play off, hold it, and then play your heart, your you know, and your queen of hearts, and you got to know how the cards fell. Yes. So you spend your time building relationships with people, which are face cards. So a book is an issue. So if you spend your time with higher relationships, you don't have to necessarily play the hand. You let the people play the hand for you. You know? And that's what you need to, instead of standing at the water cooler and saying, oh, that ain't right, and why are we doing this? Spend your time. And so I constantly, I told you, everything I do is like mind work first, head work, mindset, growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Because how you respond to a no and negativity has a lot to do with how you advance.
Yes.
So when I had the retreat, I'll be able to see who had leadership potential. I was able to put them on committees and help them get to the next, and then have individual meetings where, okay, now look, you need to fix your face. You know, everybody knows what you're thinking. You know, start hanging out with so-and-so because that's negativity. And I just became known as a person that could help a woman get that position. And I began, and you asked the question, how long you've been doing this? So in 2005, I was invited to do a Division III conference for women. And I was just helping somebody else out. Somebody else couldn't do it, and it was 30 minutes for me. I said, sure, I'll do it. And then she said, oh, well, I was going to pay her so-and-so. Was that okay to pay you that? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And I did my taxes. And the city of Hampton said, you owe us some business taxes because you claimed this on your taxes. So in 2005, I became a business. But in 2013, I began to do it full time. And so that's what I do. I travel across the country, working with athletic departments, sports organization, and individual coaching with individuals who wants to advanced athletic administration, or the marketplace.
Mm. And you know, you've seen what I love about what you did. I mean, first of all, kudos to everything that you've done, you know, moving to that level. But I love that you've seen the niche and you said, you know, this is something that's unique, different, but something I like to do. And I think I'm just going to keep going with this. And then, like you said, through, I always say the universe talks to us and it brings us things, and it brought you certain things to build on. And now that you're to your own business now that you're doing with this, because when you first talked to me about this, I said, wow, I never really heard of like a leadership coach with not just like you said, the athletes, but with, you know, people that are trying to move to the next level in a leadership role. And I said, that's needed, especially now, especially with women and especially with Black women. So I love that you took that niche. You said, this is a need and let me see what I need to do. And now you're prospering in it. So wonderful. That is just amazing. Now, I'm thinking, now you said a little bit about the title of your business, which I love, the idea, Seeds of Empowerment. So just a little bit of can you give us a definition of what that just popped up in your head, how you decided to do that?
Well, again, I said we have retreats and I have a facilitator, and she taught us, because I was participating as well as hosting it, that you need to have a slogan of what you do. And so I'm from the country. We lived on a farm, but we went the farm out. My father was an English teacher. My mother is a retired librarian. As you can see, books. So seeds to me are reads. All right. And so, and I plant seeds. I don't tell you what to do. I plant seeds. So it may not take root right then, but later on you remember what I said. Like somebody today just told me, you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And this person now works for United States Olympic Committee, you know?
See?
And when I met her, she was doing her own consulting business. And I was trying to say, look, and she was a mental health professional for sports. And I said, I need you to write this contract for the school. They need you. You know, they don't have enough money to hire a person, but they can hire a contractor. Man, when I tell you, now that's one thing I will say. I'm very persistent. I'm not. So, and she was like, you. And so we went to a conference together. And we're sitting down, and I have connecting events whenever I travel. So I had another lady who's one of my clients, and she worked at an institution, and we had breakfast. And she said, you know, my institution is looking for a sports psychologist.
Okay.
And she says, and we're opening it back up because we didn't have good candidates. She didn't ask her to apply. She said, do you have any recommendations? Now, this is a woman we had a conference called Black Student Athlete Summit. And we're sharing. Actually, she asked me to co-present with her somewhere. So we were in a hotel room together, and she had no desire to go on athletic department. Next thing I know, this happened in January. In April, she says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I'm so excited. I went for an interview, got it. I'm going there to go pick up my house right now. My family and I are moving." I was like, "Whoa." You know, and so it's the connections, it's the seed, you know, to have you look at things differently, change your perspective. And then again, seeds of empowerment, because again, you're empowered to take that change.
Yes.
And I'm giving you the greatness. I'm staying right here. You go ahead.
What you said, I put that seed in. Now you got to, but you just showed it, like you just told the other lady where she came back to you. And you said, you know what, if it wasn't, you know, what you told me, then I wouldn't be now where she's at now. So it's one thing to put the seeds there, but then I think the secret sauce that you have, that I'm not going to say, I'm just putting this out there, that when you say seeds of empowerment, it's already sprouting to that next level. And you're proving that with the seeds that you're planting, because you're getting that feedback back from the ladies. And that's, I'm telling you, it takes certain people to do that. So you're transforming lives, lady. Transforming.
Thank you.
And that's what's needed right now. We I mean, especially with all this going on, we need. I told you we need to multiply you.
Well, I have to give God all the glory. honestly, because I had a session before we met, because I have this magazine, and it's called Significance in Athletics and Sports. And so I was preparing my next person for my next article, and I don't know what I said. She said, "Oh, that was just great what you just said." I said, "I take no credit. It was a download for God, So God gets all the glory." I mean, honestly, I just try to I try to shut up long enough to hear the download. Okay.
Well, I hear you on that about I had to shut the mouth so I could hear the downloads because I could be like dee, 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 dee.
Yeah.
And then God is like, I'm trying to get your attention here. but he got your attention and you're just doing wonders. Like I said, in the area that people don't really know how important it is until I really heard it. And that's where, like you said, we need to listen more. Like women like what you're doing, because then you say, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I need that. See, you don't know what you don't know. But when you find out, I tell people, and I'm putting it out there for the people that's going to be watching this, that this is not just get to know Monique, but reach out to Monique. Just a little tad that I want to put in there. But moving forward, Miss Monique, the one thing I want to ask too is, being, a coach, especially in the industry that you're in, you're the leadership for those people that's trying to move to the next level. What is like a little bit different than what you do of the norm? I know you're a more unique type of coach, but what do you do that's a little bit different flavor than others?
Well, most people come to me, let's just be clear. People come to me because they want to get a job.
Okay.
And they say, do you know so-and-so? Okay, that's the one type of person. The second person is the person who just lost their job, which is very difficult because, number one, you're trying to hold your money because you don't know when your next paycheck is coming. That's why I started a magazine. Let us use expert marketing to get your expertise out there before it's needed. Because with me, I've been a consultant since 2005. So when I got my pink slip in 2013, my name was already out there. The NCAA took me on as a consultant, and I was able to do leadership workshops under their umbrella. And then until they said, well, we're not going to pay you, but you can still do them. The schools will pay you. And I'm going like, bet I can charge more. Thank you. So you got it. And my expertise was out there already for women in Title IX. And most of the women who were athletic directors, said I got my start, from Monique and her leadership. So that's the little thing I do differently is I try to push expert marketing, get your name out of it. Like even before like the road I'm in now, I would push all my people, and I did it to guys too, to get on NCAA committees, or I would put them on a conference committee, and I'm like, okay, I'll be here to tell you how to do it, but you're gonna do it. You're gonna be the face. So it's like do it afraid. So the same thing when I do, like young lady I just talked to today, she really wants to get. She's a number 2 person. She wants the number 1 spot, and the number 1 spot is about to come open. So she's wise enough to know she needs to get her expertise out there. But the thing is, based on my experience, you have to be careful that even though you've done a lot, the people see you as a leader, as a visionary, versus the manager and the busy bee. And this is something I experienced. You can run all the championships, create all of the marketing materials. They're only going to see you as the manager or the busy bee. But, people will say something like, okay, well, that he's gone golfing, or she's, he's never here. Because when he's golfing, his mind is clear and he can plan out his visionary solving issues. You got to have a clean slate to be able to see things and prepare. And people don't realize that. And that this is something I've noticed. Narrow minds see it like this. And narrow minds have a problem about delegation because they feel like you're just passing it on. But that's what leaders do. Leaders delegate. And I always say, I'm sorry, that's what leaders do. And I'm so sorry you're not one.
I love it. I love your boldness. It just so works. And you need that. You need that.
Because they're complaining. And I'm like, it's just the same thing in the business side. I was just using that to explain to my client tonight. It's like, when you say in the business sense, you get it. Me sitting here making Canva flyers does not mean revenue producing activities. Mm-hmm. So you need to have somebody else doing that so that you can sit here and plan out or make that phone call relationship, you know, or go to that golf tournament to be able to make that connection, you know, because you get further together collaboration than you are sitting and doing yourself. So from a corporate perspective, you have to explain it, because I'm telling you, you'd be surprised how many secretaries think they can do their boss's job because they say they're doing everything. You're not doing the most important thing. You know, even if we're talking on a spiritual side. Remember Martha was pissed off with Mary?
Yeah.
And what did Jesus say? She's doing the most important thing. Yeah. Which is sitting at my feet.
And learning.
Right. And so that's the same thing as meditating and doing your devotions and being, so you can hear the downloads. You up here fussing about the menu and the nameplates where everybody's supposed to sit. You know what I'm saying? You all into all the movement, and you're not being a leader. Yeah. And so that's what I kind of, again, I get into that after I do the mindset.
I love how you say, because one thing, I don't care what you do, you have to deal with that mind first. Because you don't know, and I was just going to ask you too, get into your sweet spot as far as what you do for your, you know, your clients, is that you don't know where their head's at right then and there. It's like, it could be all over the place, but you have to say, okay, we got to come together, and I have to really get to know what's going on so we can work this thing out, what you're trying to get to. So I was going to ask you about that.
Well, it's funny because I remember what I said tonight. I said, we got to get over, we want to get better, and we want to get over this bitterness. And so I could hear her concern about being passed over and anticipation of being passed over again. And so I was saying to her that instead of saying what you did, tell them the results that you created. Because that's what leaders are looking for. Yeah. They're looking to see, okay, you did this activity, but does it match with the strategic plan? Do you even know what it was? I know you saw something that needed to get fixed, but did the fix go fix something on the bottom line? You know, and that's how you have to think, because I mean, I've said this over again. I've been a leader since I was a teenager, but I was SGA president in high school. I learned real early at 18 that I didn't know I was supposed to tell the advisor my great ideas. I just went straight to the principal and said, this is what we want to do. And and I didn't let her know. I didn't know anything about none of that. I was like, okay, I'm it. Let's go do it. So I learned early at 18 that you better understand the relationships, because you can get blackballed and don't even know you got blackballed and why you got blackballed. And people, and I can tell this often with the women, and they don't know that that's what's happening to them. It's like you are too familiar. Okay. And then from a sociology standpoint, you're privileged and you're entitled, but you don't know that, because you grew up having access to the president, having access to the principal. Both my parents were school teachers, so this was Uncle so-and-so, Aunt so-and-so. So I didn't have any fear. I was like, okay, how about this idea? But to somebody else, oh, isn't she arrogant? She just thinks that she can go and she don't have to follow protocol. I didn't know there was a protocol.
Because if you don't know,
right,
and it's really bad, like you said, they don't tell you. No. So you're already on this blackball list, because I've been there.
I mean, why do you think we get to the kid though? You see what I'm saying? Why? I mean, that's a conversation you would have with your colleagues. You see what I'm saying? I'm thinking at the same level as a teacher or an advisor, and I'm a kid, and I don't know I'm supposed to think like a kid. So when you're a leader, you don't know, and I had to learn this too. I mean, I have more respect for the younger minds and the diversity of thought. Because I teach at Hampton University sports management courses. And I tell them all the time, like, have diversity of thought, because that's how we have an iPhone now. That's how we have Uber. This is how there's somebody that said we need to be doing so and so. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't somebody that was my age who did it. So I'm saying, don't be silent. Be strategic about how you share your information. You know, understand the players and I mean, who do you share that with? Yeah. I have a membership portal called the Advanced Academy. That's what I do the executive coaching piece. And so I say we got to be strategic chicks. You know, that's a book. And then what's the other one? I even looked at, who's the lady from Georgia running for governor? I
can't think
of her. She's from Georgia, and she's the one that helped get the vote out. She has a book called Minority Report. All of these tell you must know who your players are, and sometimes you have to use them to get your message across.
That makes sense. I mean, when you think about it, that makes sense. I
mean,
it
does, but we don't think that way.
We don't think that way. So that's why, back to, like you say, you do the mindset, and then after that, you talk about the structure part of it, which I love. Yeah. Yes, it connects the dots. Well, lady, I want to, before we sign off, I want to give you 30 seconds. I'm going to take myself down for 30 seconds, and I want you to give some lasting impressions to the audience, and then we'll be back up again.
Well, it has been a pleasure to be with Barbara on this platform. I believe that collaboration is we get further together. And so even if athletics is not your thing, be able to connect with somebody else in your industry and share and be able to go further. And number two, community is important. And this time of mental health, mindfulness, the uncertainty, that's what you need. Do not suffer in isolation. And so I believe in that. And then thirdly, seeds are reeds. And so I'm glad to share my book, that's publicfiguremass.com. Where I do cover my athletic administrative journey and some of the tools I used dealing with being a female in a male-dominated field, and how I soared after I went to therapy.
Wow. So thank you so much, Monique. Now, please let them know where they can contact you.
Well, I like to communicate on LinkedIn. That's where I like to communicate. So you can just find me at Monique A.J. Smith. Monique A.J. Smith.
And we will make sure with this interview that is put down on the bottom so they can make sure to get to you for the services that you do. And thank you. I just so honored to be with you today and interviewing and just getting to know you. Like I tell people with the Coaching Lounge, we get to know these wonderful coaches, consultants, because when you think about it, you could be a speaker and author, which is awesome. We all are too, both of us. But when you can really do that empowerment, the seed of empowerment, got that? In somebody's life, that's a whole nother direction of being an influencer in the world. So thank you again, Monique, for being an influencer, helping out women that's in need of that.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.